Yeah, kid. Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer Podcast. My name is Charles, a.k.a. the Handsome Homebuyer, a.k.a. Captain Permit, a.k.a. a.k.a. the soon-to-be 2020 LLS Man of the Year. It's been a whirlwind 2 days of promotions. Tickets are moving, a lot of action, a lot of excitement, a lot of text messages, a lot of people pumped up. The presenters are pumped up. The team is pumped up. The people on Long Island are pumped up. I'm a little drained, but I'm still freaking pumped up. And today we have a guest who is basically the wizard of promotions. We're going to get to him in a second. But Maddie, you know who else is the wizard of the permit world?
Captain Permit.
Damn right, Captain Permit. 516-513-883. And if you need plans, you need permits, if you need anything permit related, from interior alterations to legalizations to commercial to new houses, you name it, we do it. We got the most able, capable, best looking crew in the business. Forget about all that shit. We actually pick up the phone when you call, and we actually return your phone calls. That in itself, that is like the key to successful business, in my opinion. People say, oh, I want a successful business. It's difficult, blah, blah, blah. It's not difficult. You got to do two things. You got to pick up the phone, and you got to do what you say. And that's what we do. 516-513-883. And obviously, if you have a house that smells like cat pee, is dated from the 1960s, has 6 inches of mold on the wall, human waste floating past the basement steps, commercial property, gas stations, land, anything real estate related. If God created it and it cannot be moved and he's not making any more of it, I'm quick, I'm easy, I'm a good time. I'm wearing a Mad R visual sweatshirt. I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. All right, we got a dope guest today. Today's guest, I was just riffing with him for like the last 45 minutes and totally lost track of time. A little bit of backstory about how I met this gentleman. I still don't really know him. We're about to flush it out and learn about him on the podcast. Social media is an amazing thing. Everybody needs a presence. I've been working with the great Mad R Visual, as we know is the heart and soul of the Handsome Homebuyer visual brand, for the last 9 months. And things have just exploded. I've met a lot of unbelievable people, a lot of great opportunities, been able to give back, get a lot of thanks and emotion from people who are in the game, who are struggling, who want to get in the game. And it's just a great, great thing. Every business should be involved in social media and content creation. So about, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago, this gentleman reached out to me and said, hey, listen, I'm having an event, NYC Real Estate Expo, 500 people, monster event. He does, how many events do you do a month?
Well, it's 16, yeah.
16 events a month. He's been doing it for the last 20 years. He said, listen, would you be able to come down and speak? I have a 40-minute slot. You can speak about anything you want. I went, didn't know what to expect. We came up with something that I talk about. I made it to the event. Marriott Marquis, Times Square, straight sexy, center of the universe, right? Top speakers, 500 people divided up into 3 rooms, 3 speakers going at a time. I'm going to pat myself on the back here. I spoke about raising private money. The place was overflowing. There was like 6-8 people deep in the hallway, doors open. People were in the aisles, sitting on the floor, up until where I was. I freaking left it all in that room. And the crowd was great. The event was run perfectly. He organizes the people that he hired, bringing everybody in on time. All the tech worked. It was just a brilliantly put together event, one of the best that I've ever been. So I wanted to call him up, have him come on the podcast. We're going to learn a little bit about how he got into real estate, how he got into events, what he's doing now, what the future holds, because he's a very young guy. Nick Chang.
Thank you.
Have you ever gotten an intro that went anywhere like that?
No, it's the first time. I know. First of all, I don't normally go and do podcasts. Nice. So this is my. I just recently got into it, probably like 6 months ago.
Okay.
First one I did was one of my volunteers that he helps with me. It's one of my best friends, and then another one was the realtor. They're all local guys in New Jersey, and you're the third one.
Nice.
But I would say intro wise, you're the best.
All right. Best out of 3. I like it.
Yeah.
How do you like the podcast circuit, though?
I'm very new at it. I understand it. I see how it works. Mm-hmm. Like there was a period of time in my life when I wanted to be on every platform, meaning like I wanted to speak at every real estate club.
Okay.
I wanted to be everywhere on the web.
And then your wife's like, I'm going to break up with you if you are never home. Like now you seem to live like again, I don't know you at all.
Yeah.
But you seem very relaxed.
Yeah.
I call you the other day like, yo, I'm dropping my daughter off at school. Like, you seem to be on the outside world. And by the way, like, you don't really have social media, which is another thing that fucking blows my mind.
Right.
Because you're a promoter doing it unbelievably successfully, but not all over social media. Like, you don't have an Instagram account.
Yeah, that's correct.
Somebody made an imposter Instagram account, and I thought it was you the other day. So I guess I want to take it back for a minute just to talk about, where you came from, how you found real estate, and kind of your progression, because you've come into events, but you've done fix and flip, you do multifamily, you're involved heavily in the real estate world.
Yeah. So like the person I am today is a very different person than who I was when I first started in the event business. So my first business was marketing.
Okay.
I was antisocial. I was super shy. I was scared of my own shadow, and I just happened to go to a friend's party that they did, and I was like, wow, I had a lot of fun there, and I was like, hey, I can probably do this in my state, because I went to a friend's party in New Orleans. They needed me to help them with marketing.
Okay.
Because I'm really good at graphic design, website design. I was a programmer back then.
No kidding.
And so I did that all for them, right? And then they invited me to the party, and I was like, wow, this is an awesome party. Can you help me do it in New Jersey? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And so that's how I got into the event business. But I was always the behind the scenes guy.
Okay.
Because even for their event, I was just the designer, the marketing guy, but I was never the front person. And so when I got into it in New Jersey, I was again just the marketing guy. I just knew how to. My goal was just to figure out how to pack the place.
Okay.
And eventually I had to find a front person, because everybody always wants to interact with a front person.
Okay.
And I was just lucky enough to find somebody that was right to be the front person for that business. And when you find the right front person with the right marketing, it exponentially grows.
Okay.
And so that's how I got into the event business. I was like 18 at the time. I wasn't even old enough to drink. Okay. And so how do you throw a party, make money with it, and you're not even old enough to drink? I knew that I could rent the club. So I rented the club. I told them, look, I'll pay you whatever it is you want. They told me $4,000. I paid them $4,000. And then whatever door admission sales I did, I kept. And I remember one of the funniest moments in my life, or most interesting moments, is I did like a few parties already in Philadelphia. And
these are just parties, like girls, liquor, hotness,
exactly. Yeah.
sex, all that. Okay.
And so I'll tell you the science to the party, because there's a science to everything. And as long as you figure out the science to it, you can always pack it.
Oh, this is good shit.
Right? So the science to a party is what? Like, first of all, why do guys go to a party? To meet girls.
Yes.
Right? And so the girls is really...
Why do girls go to a party?
To dance. To dance. To have fun with their friends. Right? Right? That's the truth. Right? And that's the majority. That's what they say. Right? And so you have to listen to what they say. Right? And so because of that, you're like, look, since I knew that, I was like, look, I'm going to give all the girls free admission.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got to also figure out, well, why would girls want to go to a party beyond free admission? Well, maybe they want to be models or something. So let's do the first event I did was a model search party.
Very smart.
Right. And so I reached out to a modeling agency. They came out, they took photos. Okay, so we had an ad saying that we're going to do a model search here. If you want to be a model, come out to the event. It's free.
So you're going to get girls who are hot, or at least think they're hot.
Exactly.
Very smart.
And then every guy is like, I got to be at this party. And those are the guys we charge, and that's how we packed the first party, and then we created a mailing list, a following, and then we just continued the process. But that's it. Like, the science is it's girls. Right? And girls like to dance, and so you got to play the right music that is good for them. And as long as you're keeping them happy, the guys come.
Wow. And at that moment, it was like, so what? Obviously, everybody has this thing where you think you can work, I'm sure there was a ton of people that told you you're out of your goddamn mind.
To be honest with you, I'm like, so I didn't realize it until later on, because that I was actually autistic. And so when being an autistic person,
okay.
I'm oblivious to what people say.
Okay.
So I just,
Which is awesome.
yeah, like, so it's like I just came up with an idea. Hey, I'm gonna throw a party. You know, I think guys go to parties because of girls. Let's just do a model search party. Let's do it. And everybody's like, whatever. I didn't even hear them. And
Wow.
So I didn't even know I could fail.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
See what happens when you just freaking. I always say that success is like 85% balls and 15% preparation. Because I feel like a lot of people know successful people that sort of like half know what they're doing. Although I don't think any of us really know what we're doing. We're just kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah, every time.
But the people that are willing to act and actually do it are the ones that end up being successful, or at least gaining a certain amount of success over everybody else, just because they're in the game.
Exactly. Yeah, you gather data after every activity that you do.
Yeah.
And you get smarter. And you start getting a basis points and metrics to like guide you become a master at the game. But the first event, I didn't know I could fail.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was a massive success.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was crazy.
So you started out as promoting events, like club events.
Yeah. But like, I started off as like a regular promoter, inviting people to it. But then I went to my friend's private party that they did down in New Orleans. And afterwards, I'm like, why am I being a promoter trying to bring people to a club when I should rent the club and get other people to bring people to the club?
Smart. And that's where you basically realize that the key to promoting these events of any kind is they get the right people on board who have the right connections and essentially have them work for the event.
Yeah. Like all the girls that I gave free tickets to, like I was like, look, anybody you bring, we'll make a guest list in the front. Anybody that you bring, I'll give you like $3 per person. And of course, they're going to go and make noise. And what better promoter than the girls that are going to be there and the girls making the noise?
Wow. Very smart.
Yeah.
So you did that for how long? Do you still do that?
So I stopped doing that by the time I was 21, 22.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I did that for like a few years.
Okay.
And it's very, very fun. But the funniest part is that, like, I was never a party animal. I was this autistic, shy kid that was always trying to fit in, and I just happened to figure out how to throw parties really well. And my friends that knew me back then, that knew that I was this kid that never fit in, they're like, how is he doing this? Because I was throwing really big parties. Like I was throwing like parties with Asian celebrities and everything, and they're like, how do you even know these people? Why, where are they coming for? Are they coming for me or are they coming for the artist? They were really coming for the artist. That's what I knew that, you know, and that's why I even booked them. But I did parties once a month, every month for like 2-3 years. And then I graduated. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do these. So I was making really good money throwing parties too. Depending on the night, it's like $4,000 to $20,000 a night.
Okay.
And I was like, there has to be something bigger. There has to be.
And you were running events every weekend?
Like once a month.
Once a month. Okay.
Yeah. And
this is a lot of work. It's still a lot of work though.
It gets easier.
Okay.
The first few is the hardest,
Yeah.
but once you get the metrics and you get everything done, it gets easier. And then it comes to a point where like you don't have to even do anything, and it just works. But I was like, there has to be something bigger, and so I saw at that time was the movie Fast and Furious was coming out. Car shows were starting to pop up all over the place.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna get into the car show business. And so I started renting convention centers to do car shows.
What?
Yeah.
Like what convention centers?
Yeah, so I rented the Columbus, Ohio Convention Center.
Okay.
I rented the
You didn't even do this here. You don't know anybody over there.
I didn't know anybody over there.
So you're like, I don't know anybody in Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to rent the Columbus, Ohio Convention Center.
Yeah. And I'm going to pack it with thousands of people. Yeah.
To come see cars.
To come see cars.
And I don't know any people with the cars.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does this work?
So I just came up with that idea, right?
Okay.
And I went to a few car shows and I saw them. I was like, okay, yeah. So the car shows have cars, they have import models, and they have vendors, right? And there's like thousands and thousands of people. I'm like, okay, I can do that. First, I need a space. So I found a space, Columbus, Ohio Convention Center.
How much time did you give yourself to to do this? Like you found the convention center and you're like, all right, I booked it here today. I have X amount of time.
Yeah, probably like 6 months.
Okay, 6 months.
Okay.
So not a lot of time, but not a little amount of time.
I didn't even know what a lot or a little was. You know what I mean?
You were just winging it.
Yeah, I was winging it. Exactly. Yeah. So I rented the convention center. I got 100,000 square foot of space. Okay. Whatever price they said, I negotiated down as much as possible to like it was like $4,000 or $5,000 for $100,000 worth of space.
How the hell did you do that?
That was just the cost.
That's what it was at the time?
Yeah. And
okay.
It's kind of like this. So first of all, why did I even come up with Columbus, Ohio, right? The reason why was because at that time there was just 2 really big car show companies, and they were doing it only in major cities.
Okay.
Like New York City, Atlanta, like San Diego, like big cities. But they were avoiding this, like the secondary or the tier cities.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it in the secondary tier cities.
Very smart.
Right. And so I went on to the message boards. I found out all the car clubs that exist in that state. Okay. I found a convention center that was reasonably priced, and I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna do a car show here, and I need you guys to help me promote it. I'll give you guys a cut of sales. Okay. And then for the cars that register that are with your club, I'll give you a discount. But any other car that doesn't use this club, then I'm gonna charge them retail. Okay, and so I got all the car forums working for me. And then as I met like car shops that hook up cars, I cut deals with them. I'm like, look, I'm going to give you guys a free space, but I need you guys to promote and do some sales to me. And so that's how I did it. Like with my party business, I knew that you need an attraction. You need like a reason why people should come.
Okay.
But then you also needed people to tell people to come, promoters, so like there's a prize, but then there has to be noise, meaning like people talking about the event. And so model search party was the prize, becoming a model was the prize, sorry. But the girls were promoters, and because they were making noise, people heard about it. Same thing with the car shows. The car show is, the prize of the car show is actually the fact that there's a car show here. Right? They never had a car show in their area. And the promoters were all the car forums that existed around that time and all the car shops. And because they were making the noise, because they were excited, they actually packed the event for me. I didn't know anybody in Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
And at that point, you're like, proof of concept, you got it,
yeah, and I scaled it, and then I did it in like multiple cities after.
How long did you run with the car show?
I ran it with it only for, I would say 2.5 years.
Okay.
The reason why was because at the time, I was becoming like careless at running my business.
Okay.
And because I was making a lot of money, I didn't really care about it. It was more like, hey, let's do it here. And I eventually ended up losing all my money because I over leveraged by investing in so many car shows in advance that it just kind of like fell apart.
Because you couldn't keep your, like you were basically stretched too far thin.
Yeah, because like the first one was really easy because it was the only one I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one and the third and fourth one, like what happened was the year after I was doing like a 7 show tour around like for the whole year. But like the first one, it was 100% focused just on that and making it work.
Yeah.
The second one, I was like, I already know the process. I was just find all the car clubs, do it all over again. But what I realized was that not every second tier city has a big enough community. But you didn't know that. I was just like naming cities and deciding, hey, we're gonna do it here.
What were the cities that you thought were gonna end up being big hits but weren't?
Kansas City, okay, and Minnesota, like the Twin City, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a big Asian community around those areas,
okay.
But it wasn't big enough.
Was the demographic mostly the Asian community that was into cars, or was it everybody?
At that time, the biggest demographic that was into cars, that are these kind of cars,
okay.
was the Asian community.
Okay.
And so I always targeted areas with big Asian communities.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
so ultimately, It seems to me because now you're in the real estate. Are you doing cars anymore? Or you're in the real estate space.
After the age of 23, I stopped doing parties and car shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's when you went into real estate?
Yeah.
How did you find real estate?
So after like losing a lot of money and pretty much like all my money in the party and car show business, I stepped away from it. And I decided to go to college. And so I didn't go to college until I was 23.
Okay.
And the reason why I decided to go to college was because that was like my parents' dream for me to go to college.
Okay.
You know? But I didn't want to go because I was making too much money.
You come from a very traditional family?
100%, yeah.
What did they think of your entrepreneurial
Yeah, so
traits?
maybe I'm not as traditional now that I think about it, because my dad was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
When he came to America, he gave it all up. And because like when you're in Asia and you're rich, the government's after you, you know, because we came from a communist country.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Vietnam.
Okay.
And so because of that, when he came to America, he gave it all up. And then when I grew old enough to even know what business was, I wanted to do business. But my dad gave up being an entrepreneur already. So he wanted me to be traditional, like normal, you know, but I didn't want to do it. And so I didn't become like him until I was 23, like go to school and all that. But when I was in college, at that time I lost all my money. I used to have all these cool cars and all this stuff, but no one believes you when you had this like crazy life, you know. You can show them pictures and like why are you at the school? You know, why are you at this community college? Like I was never smart, that's why I'm at a community college, right? But no one believes you, so I didn't care. I was just there. I was working, saving up money, and then I went to Rutgers Business School eventually, and then I met a friend who was telling me, Nick, you should get in real estate with me. I'm doing real estate with no money. And all my life up to that point, every business venture I ever did required money.
How old are you at this point?
I'm at 25 now, 25, okay. 26.
And you're 37 now?
38.
38
yeah.
now. Okay. So this is 13 years ago. So this is 2007.
Yeah.
Like the world's about to fall apart.
Exactly.
Cool.
And real estate prices were crazy, you know, and he was telling me he was doing real estate with no money. I didn't believe him. We used to have two classes together. One of them was marketing, and so we had a project to do together. So that's how that's why I even became friends with him. Otherwise, I didn't want to get to know him, you know. And we would always race behind Rutgers University with our like ugly cheap cars, right? But then one day, like 6 months later, he was driving a brand new car, a G35 fully loaded, and he used to live at his parents' house, and now he's living at a luxury apartment. And I'm like, something happened here, you know, something happened from him being broke and poor to becoming, you know, wealthy really, really fast.
Okay.
And so I reviewed everything he said. I talked to him about it, and he's like, yeah, dude, I got into flipping houses with no money. And after realizing that it worked for him, I gave it a shot, and it worked for me. And that's how I got into real estate.
This is flipping houses.
Yeah.
So when you went into flipping houses, did you get any kind of like formal education? Did you work with a mentor, anything? Or did you just go and like just bought a house?
Yeah. So,
because that was a crazy time also.
Yeah. So like, just like how I got into the party business with like, and the car show, and the car show business, like I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I bought a bunch of books, you know, or I would go to Barnes and Noble and read. And the first thing I did was like, hey, you know, I had to meet a motivated seller, you know, and I had to do marketing.
Okay.
And I knew my friend did bandit signs.
Like everything circles back to sales and marketing.
Yeah, 100%.
Every business.
100%.
That's the lifeblood of anything you do.
100%. That's 50% of the business, or even more.
Maybe more.
Yeah. And so I did it. I went out and put up bandit signs. Okay. And people called. And I met with these people. I didn't even know what to say, you know. But I would listen and collect questions.
That's a big thing too, though.
Yeah.
Like essentially what you're doing is
learning on the fly. Yeah.
But you're also like, you're observing, you're an expert in human behavior also.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you realize that or not.
Now I do.
You probably do. But you're an expert in human behavior, and what you're essentially doing is interacting with as many people as possible, which is a problem for most people. They don't get up to bat because they don't want to be uncomfortable. So you go into these situations, you don't know what discomfort feels like.
Right.
So you just do it. And then you're collecting data, and then you're just looking for patterns. And
Right.
what works, you just double down on.
Like, I think what people do is they try to figure out how to be whoever they have to be, so that way the first person they meet, they close and it works and they make millions of dollars.
It's not possible.
When it should be your goal is to meet like 100 people and you don't know anything when you talk to the first person, but after talking to them, you know a little bit more. And then the next thing is you talk to the next person, and by the time you talk to like the 50th or 20th person, you actually know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't do. They're focused on getting just one client, one person, one interaction, and hitting the home run.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm aware it's a numbers game, and so I go with the numbers.
Very smart. So you start investing in real estate. You're flipping houses. You're not into doing the events in the real estate space.
Yeah, none at all. Because
So-
I didn't even know it existed.
Well, let me ask you this question, because you got in before the crash, right?
Yeah.
What happened when it crashed?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. So my friends, right? So I had like 5 friends that were wholesaling like crazy houses because
Okay.
at that time, like
You were buying and renovating and reselling, or you were
no,
wholesaling?
we were wholesaling.
Oh, you were wholesaling too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
zero
Because I didn't
risk.
know. I didn't know anything else. You
Got
know.
it. So you're just talking to people, listening to them, putting a number on something, and then somebody would just buy it from you
Exactly.
at a premium.
Yeah, and like to them, they were like, it's like you could actually put a house on a contract for full retail price, and someone would pay more for it because they're like, the market's never gonna fall.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
was the mindset.
Yeah, and the craziest part around that time was like, all I had to be was off market, or the words foreclosure, and someone would buy it for more, even though they're buying it for more than market, and they're buying it more than like what it's worth.
Now, did you have to put down any money on these deals, or you did just minimum amounts?
Yeah, $100.
You were getting houses under contract for $100.
Yeah, because I knew I had a money problem, right? So I had to figure that out. And so I was going on the real estate REIclubs.com,
Yeah.
the online platforms, and I was asking, hey, how do I put these houses under contract? And people would tell me, okay, yeah, you should get an option contract on it, or you should get a sales contract doing a sign. And so I slowly was taught through these online platforms on how to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you started wholesaling. So then the market falls apart. What happens?
So once the market fell apart, everything like stopped.
Like, yeah.
Like all my friends, they literally went out of business because they were like, oh, it's just slowing down. We're going to find we just got to keep finding deals and we'll sell it. Right. But the thing is that their buyers list that they had was really they weren't real buyers. They were like just amateur buyers, Anybody that knows what they're doing, they're always buying at the right ARV, a percent of the ARV, right?
Yeah.
These guys were buying because of the hype of the market.
Yeah.
And so because they weren't doing closings, they started losing their their cars, their houses, and all that stuff where they were living because they thought that this was going to last forever, and more opportunities that they were bringing to the house or to do deals on were short sales. And so I was like, hey, you know what? I think it's a short sale game now. I'm going to figure out how to do short sales. And so at that time, short sales was also really new. And I was one of the first guys on it. And so at that time, when you call the bank was like, oh yeah, I'll show you how to do a short sale. You just need to send me the sales contract, HUD-1, this, that. And I'm like, what's a HUD-1? I don't know, And they schooled me on how to do short sales. And as that happened, I was one of the few guys that knew how to do short sales. And so all my friends were giving me all their short sales because they were focused on fast money, not short sales.
So just they were giving you the deals altogether, not just the process, and they're just like, oh, I don't want this. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
You take this deal.
Yeah. And then I slowly figured out how to do it really well. And then I, because they were feeding me so many deals, slowly they were doing JVs with me on them. I was like, you know what?
All wholesale stuff.
Yeah, but we were wholesaling short sales at that time because we didn't know anything. Like I didn't know it was illegal or legal or anything.
So you wouldn't buy any of these properties.
I didn't buy anything.
You weren't closing on anything.
Yeah, I didn't buy personally anything until like probably 2011.
So now let me ask this question: did you have, through all these things that you were doing, the cars, the clubs, the real estate, did you have like an internal team to help you scale with this? Did you have any kind of employees or anything to help you with this?
It was just me.
Like by yourself?
Yeah, it was just me. Yeah.
Were you just grinding like a crazy man or what?
I I knew how to kind of like organize things in a way where it would be easy.
Okay.
And it wasn't that much. Like I was doing personally like 200 short sales myself for a good year.
You were negotiating.
Yeah, 200 short sales. Yeah, and it wasn't that difficult.
Were banks easier to deal with at the time, and that's why? Because I mean, I know negotiators at this point. What goes on?
Yeah.
The amount of paperwork, the amount of time, the amount of follow up. It's crazy.
Well, I did it like this. I was like, look, I know what paperwork I need.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna start the file until you give me all the paperwork.
Yeah.
Right, and then once you have all the paperwork, you just gotta fax it in. Right.
But there's so much just follow up in general. There's just plus the leads just being brought to you, so you weren't prospecting for leads.
Exactly. I wasn't prospecting for leads.
Okay.
Everything was handed to me. I
Got
gave
it.
everybody a checklist. You need all this before I can start the file.
Okay. So basically, your buddies were calling you like crazy, and you're like, "Here's the checklist. If you want me
Don't
to take
call me until
you have this deal.
Yeah.
Until you have everything."
Yeah.
And you just, since you were the only person that knew how to do this at a
Yeah.
time when it was huge, it just took off.
Yeah. And
So-
then slowly I got into making it into a real business.
Wow. And then it sounds like you transitioned out of it at some point.
Yeah.
And then transitioned to multifamily?
So I was flipping short sales for a period, and what happened was my friends that I was doing business with, they were feeding me short sales, and I was like, you know what, I want more people to feed me short sales.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm gonna. I was working with a real estate guru at the time too. That was a short sale guru,
Okay.
and so he was also feeding me short sales. And then as I got to know him, I realized that he didn't know how to do short sales.
I was going to say, the guru was feeding you short sales?
Yeah,
Yes.
and he didn't know how to do it. And I straight up asked him one day, hey, have you actually done one of these? And he's like, no, but I can figure out how to do it if I have to. And so
Was that his way of saying, like, you don't have me by the balls type of thing?
I wasn't asking like that because like as much money and success as I've done up to this point in my life, I was still a background guy. I was still that guy that's behind the scenes, don't want people to talk to me guy. And so I would never, like, even though it looks like I'm asking him like that, I wasn't asking him like that. I just wanted to know.
So at this point in time, do you consider yourself to be the front guy?
No,
You're still
up to this point, no one knew who I was.
You're still the background guy.
Still the background guy.
So the wizard has come out on the Handsome Homebuyer podcast, basically. So I want to know how you got into doing the real estate events, because when I look at it, it's a simple yet complicated model. You're very smart in the fact that you understand patterns and how to replicate and implement systems to replicate things. What's awesome about you is, which I think is 99% of the world's problem, is they want to stick with one thing forever and that's it.
Yeah.
You realize that you see opportunity and you implement the same systems that have worked in every other business, and you just run with whatever the new thing is for as long as it lasts.
Yeah.
So short sales dried up or got more difficult, got more competitive.
I transitioned. Yeah.
You transitioned. So now you've transitioned to real estate education because that's a massive space.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mother who's ever watched a TV show wants to flip a house. So, and this is great, thank you for this, and a lot of people should be thanking you for this. There's a shortage of quality information out there.
Yeah, 100%.
You have a lot of people that are out there charging real big money for programs that may or may not be delivering.
Yeah, they're not real. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
So my guru that I was working with, I used to be one of the panelists in the event because I couldn't do solos. I had stage fright. And then I found out he never did one. And then my friend I had like friends that I was working with, and my friends were like, Nick, this guy never did a short sale. And he's the guru that people are paying $10,000 to learn from. And when they pay him to learn from him, he's actually sending them to you. And you're not even getting paid that $10,000. You're only getting paid on the deals once it's done. All right. And my friend was like, Nick, you got to do something about this. And so at that moment, I had to make a decision. And I decided that I was going to get into the education space to compete with this guy, teach the same stuff, but I actually do it. And once I entered that space, it was the scariest thing because I really have stage fright. And so in the beginning when I first...
Do you still have stage fright?
I don't, not anymore.
Okay.
But at that time, I had major stage fright, and so I had to like drink alcohol before I got on stage. Yeah, and I was never into alcohol, you know. So I would get buzzed just to get on stage, and eventually, I got comfortable.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to drink anymore.
But the cool thing is you pushed yourself to that point.
100%. 100%. I think this is the most important thing. What it is that I did it, you know, and in the beginning I did it because I wanted to stop somebody that doesn't know the business, just teaching it. I wanted him to stop. So I started teaching it because I wanted him to stop. But then when I faced the fear of getting comfortable on stage. And then once I got comfortable, next thing you know, I got good. And then once I got good, what happened was I fell in love with it. And that's when like it really, really changed for me, because I didn't know that it was going to change my life. Overcoming a fear of public speaking, I didn't know it was going to change my life. I didn't know that people were going to come to me and give me deals. I didn't know people were going to come to me to give me money. I didn't know I would meet a whole reality of different people that I've never met before, that I never interacted with because I never spoke or shared my message. And so after going through that experience, I started and asked myself, what other fears do I have? Because whatever they are, I'm going to figure them out and face them. So that was like the pivotal point of my life that changed my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you at that point?
I was 27, 28. Yeah.
Wow. And then for the last 10 years, how long have you been doing real estate events for?
So once I got to the education space, I was trying to get on every stage, just like I was saying earlier.
And speak.
Every RIA, every.
And you were talking about short sales.
Yeah, I was talking about short sales for a period.
Got it.
And the problem with it was none of the real estate clubs wants to promote someone local, because they want to bring out the national guy that's nationally famous, so that way they could draw a bigger audience and then let them sell their program or product or service, and then they'll get a cut of sales. They don't want to promote the local guys. And so I was like okay with that in the beginning. I didn't care about it because I had no other option. I was just there as a vendor trying to speak whenever I can. And then it was in 2011 I decided, you know what, I'm not going to handle this anymore. Actually, what happened was a club kicked me out.
It's kind of like, I'm not going to promote for this club anymore. I'm just going to go rent my own club.
So a club kicked me out because I was people were buying my education program at their club. And they were like, you can't sell here. But I'm like, I'm not even here to sell. I'm just here to promote like who I am, what I do. If they decide to buy it, yeah. And I was like, I'll give you a cut of sales if you want it. And they're like, no, you can't come in anymore, blah, blah, blah. And then I told them, I'm going to start my own club. And that's when everything changed in terms of the club space. And ever since I started my own club, I was only familiar with wholesaling and short sales at the time. So I couldn't speak there. So I would always book speakers on every topic. Eventually I figured I would learn from them, and I would figure out how to actually do every strategy. Wow. But that's how I got into it.
Wow. And at this point, you're still involved in real estate, but your main focus are the real estate education events that you do.
So the education events, it always fed me, meaning opportunities.
Yeah.
Because up to this point, I was a guru in short sales.
Okay.
And I would partner with all my students. So I had like 200 students, and 200 students, if only like 10 of them feed you deals, that's still a lot of deals. So I was always on the model of other people providing me the deal, and then I would JV with them.
So essentially you had a training program which you would teach them how to do short sales.
Yeah.
And they would bring them back to you.
Yeah, and I'd be like, look, you guys, I just taught you how to do it, but you want to partner with me, and I'll handle half of it, and we'll keep half of it. Go out there, do the marketing, bring it back, and I'll handle the rest. That was it.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And it blew up.
Yeah. And that was a big success. But I also got kicked out of the clubs. And because of that, I started my own club, and then I realized, hey, short sales is like a fad, right? Like it's not going to last forever.
No.
And so I started to learn how to wholesale, like a real wholesaler, how to do fix and flips and how to do multis as I went through like booking speakers and learning from them.
So you can essentially diversify within real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I have exactly the same theory on it. Like I try to learn about every asset class there is.
Every strategy, how it works, why it works.
Yeah, because it's like if you're just looking to flip houses in Levittown, there's going to come a time when you can't flip houses in Levittown anymore.
Right.
But if you have an investor base and a construction team or whatever, and you can do rentals and flips and new construction and commercial and et cetera, you're always moving.
Right.
So I guess this brings me to the question that I'm really dying to know now, which is, what's the next thing?
Yeah, what's the next thing? So it wasn't until like 5 years ago. So I got into wholesaling, fixing and flipping, buying and holding, raising capital, mortgage notes. I got into all that. And it was about, I would say 5 years ago, I met somebody at one of my events. And she was I think like 27, 28 at the time. And we started talking, and it wasn't until like way later I found out that she was worth like 500 million.
Okay.
And she's 27, you know, and
Like old school family money type stuff?
no, she
Or she made it?
she's an entrepreneur. Yeah, she made it.
She's a self-made,
Mil-
worth
multi-million-
500 millionaire at 27.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got to know her through time, and I realized that she knows how to run a business. Whereas I think I knew how to run a business. Up until this point in my life, I was involved in every activity of my business.
Yeah.
You know, I was on top of my guys. I'm at all the events and all this stuff. And so, so once I met her, once I understood, like, hey, I'm running this thing wrong, I decided to buy some books on how to actually run a business. One of my favorite books is Built to Sell. A book that teaches you how to build a business where you can actually sell it one day.
Is it similar to like the E-Myth?
It's not. It's a lot easier. It's more dumbed down.
Okay.
And so I gave that a shot. I decided to reorganize my business to be, okay, my flipping business was gonna run on its own. My wholesale business is gonna run on its own, and my multifamily business is gonna run on its own. And it took me literally 5 years to get out of all those businesses. And right now, the only business I'm super, super involved in is the event business.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, wow. But the transition of that 5 years, because I think that's every small business, even small and medium business person's struggle.
Yeah.
I understand everything you're telling me, but at the same time, it's even hard for me to separate myself. Like I have to a certain extent with certain things. Captain Permit runs on its own. I'm out there spreading the word like I do with everything else. That's what I do. But there are a lot of times where you want to jump back in because you feel like if you were doing it, it would be on a different level or whatever. How do you deal with that?
For us, we're perfectionists. We're always gonna make the most money, the highest return in everything that we do, because we started this, we created this, so we're masters at it. But if we really love our family, which we do, we need to build some. We have to be aware that whatever we do, we have to figure out how to do it without being involved, because if something happens to us, we're not gonna be here to take care of them. And so I stopped trying to run a perfect business. I started figuring out, hey, what numbers are we after? Okay. What performance are we after? And as long as we hit those things,
okay,
and everybody's okay, like everybody's satisfied with our service, is that good enough?
No, I'm with, but it's a question of, is everybody really satisfied?
Yeah. The thing is, even when we run a perfect business where we're personally involved, not everybody's satisfied.
True.
Right? So we're getting the same result. The only difference is that when we're personally involved, we just make a little bit more. But that more is, I don't know if it's worth our time being involved.
I'm with you. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I got used to that. I got okay with that. And then, so what I did was I started teaming up with fix and flip guys that do business in Philadelphia, in New Jersey, in New York. And I got really good at figuring out who to work with, so that way I don't have to be involved. So for example, like when I first started this, I always thought that I had to create them, because I know what I'm doing. So if I create them, if I educate them, then they'll know what they're doing. But I found out that that's actually a handicap, because you actually want to work with someone that's already trying to figure it out on their own versus you feeding them. Because if you constantly feeding them, that means that if you're not feeding them, they're not getting smarter.
Yeah.
But if they're trying to figure it out on their own and you feed them, they get smarter faster.
Yeah.
And so I started off with creating people, and then I stopped doing that for a period, and then I got into looking for people that are already doing it and they're looking to scale or grow bigger or faster, and I found out that is the best combo to work with.
Wow. So basically they're let's say 60 or 70% there, you fill in the gap.
Or they do like 1 deal or 2 deals a year, and I help them do 4 or 5.
Okay. So we're not talking about taking a guy
from the beginning. Yeah. I don't want to start
200 houses. But are you working with 25 guys that go from 1 to 4 deals a year?
25 guys. No. I typically look for people that are doing already, I would say like 4 or 5 deals, and then we'll get them in like 10, 15. So it's like that. And the thing is, because they already know what they're doing. So they just either need more money or more deals.
And the interesting thing for you is it seems like when you lost the money at the end of the
2003. Yeah, when I was 23.
With the cars.
Yeah.
That had a very big impact on you to the point where it sounds like you structure your business, which is very smart, in a way that gives you minimal to non-existent financial risk.
100%. Yeah. So this is what happened. So up until that point, I was doing everything with my money.
Yeah.
And then when I got into real estate, I realized, wait a minute, I'm supposed to get into this business, or I'm supposed to learn this business at the bottom of the food chain, and realize and take that up. Meaning, all the fix and flips I do now with people, I don't guarantee the loans. The people I partner with do.
Okay.
That puts them in alignment with with their interests, meaning like they're not gonna mess it up.
Yeah.
And I'm just the bailout guy, meaning like when things go wrong, call me.
So essentially, you're a partner in the deal without really being
actually any skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're the parachute, basically.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And everyone's cool with that.
Yeah, they love me. Because like it doesn't matter how well you get your money. I'm pretty sure I know a place to get it cheaper.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how you get your deals. I also know how to get deals, and I probably know how to get it even better. So it's like I'm just adding to you.
Yeah.
You know, and in a way, my margin that you're paying me for is through what I'm already saving you.
No, I get it. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that don't see it that way.
Yeah.
But you don't need to work with everybody.
Exactly. Plus, that's why the event business is a really interesting business for me, because I get to meet a lot of people.
And this feeds essentially what it is, it's marketing. It's constantly, you are feeding whatever you're doing. You come up with a very creative way to feed whatever business you're in.
It's like every speaker that in a way speaks at my events is almost like a potential person I can partner with.
Yes.
So
wow.
So it's kind of like that platform.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
From the speakers or the attendees, or both?
Both, right? As long as you talk to me and you make sense, we'll sit down, we'll do like a financial audit, see how you do, and if it makes sense, I can plug in. That's if you want me to plug in.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So that's how. So I used to be in it. Now I'm out of it. Yeah, and that's how I did it.
And that's how you take your daughter to school every day.
Yeah, and so my kids are 2 boys.
Okay.
But,
sorry.
No problem. But yeah, but like that's how I do it, and it's worked out for me. Like that's why the event business to me is my favorite business, because it allows me to be in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Or meet a lot of people.
So I got to ask you the $1 million question.
Sure.
You have 2 boys.
Yeah.
How'd you get boys?
What do you mean?
So a little bit of background, because you don't know me.
Oh, yours are girls?
No, I don't have any kids.
Okay.
But I want to have boys.
Yeah.
So my mother told me a long time ago, but she won't tell me what it is. She says there's like a secret to getting boys. So if you went 2 for 2, you got to know something. Especially a guy like you, because you are one smart motherfucker, bro.
I don't know anything.
Deep into the left, boozing, not boozing, nothing?
Nothing.
You'll tell me off air?
Nothing.
You got just dumb luck.
Just dumb luck. Yeah. I mean, I think I got lucky throughout my whole life. I call myself the luckiest person in the world.
I would disagree with that. I think you're a very smart, hardworking guy. But we're gonna close out with that. That was fucking awesome. Yo, I appreciate you on many different levels. A, for reaching out to me to give me the platform. I'm happy that I could have been involved with that, for coming in here, for all the knowledge you blessed me before and hopefully after this. If people are looking to come to your events, if they're looking to follow you, see what events you have coming up, because again, you have them all over New York, New Jersey, and PA.
Yeah.
And the speakers are top notch. How do they find you? How do they hear about the events?
Yeah, if it's real estate based events, just go to New York, spelled out, the letter R, the letter E, the letter I, letter A.com. That's RIA. So it's NewYorkRIA.com. For New Jersey, go to New Jersey, spelled out, REIA.com. And for Philadelphia, go to Philadelphia, REIA.com. That's it.
Nice. Obviously, I'm the Handsome Homebuyer. The LI Real Estate Revolution, LIRealestateRevolution.com. Tickets are on sale May 17th. We got a ton of great speakers, ton of knowledge, ton of education. Goes to an unbelievable cause, Leukemia Lymphoma Society. If you're a realtor, you get 8 hours of CE credit. You're going to be amongst the best of the best. Awesome network, as Nick was just talking about. You don't know who you're going to meet in that room. Could be your next deal source, could be your next funding source, could be your next partner, could be your next husband, could be your next wife. Who knows? Obviously, I'm the Handsome Homebuyer. You have a house that smells like cat pee, is dated from the 1960s, land, anything. You know I want to buy it. 516-777-SOLD. That's a wrap.
Orgulloso estoy de mi herencia judía. Benjamín Lev Ben Shlomo. Cuando me llaman a la torre, así me llamo yo.